Hello guys, Mr. Agophobia here. How are you all doing today? I've got a new conflict build for you guys. I put together a regen build. I'm not seen it on YouTube before, so I might be the first person to make this build. But you let me know in the comments if you've tried this build. But you get tons of damage, you get loads of armor regen, and it's a pretty easy build to make. So if you like my content, like and subscribe. And let's get straight in the video. Okay, so our first piece of gear is the mask. We're using the Chill Out mask, the Gilligard named piece. One piece you get 5% total armor, 2 piece you get 60% health, and 3 piece you get 2% armor regen, which we're using 3 pieces of Gilla. The core attribute is a blue. We have armor regen, headshot damage 10%, and the mod is 10% headshot damage as well. So our second piece of Gilla is the backpack. Core attribute is a blue. The attributes are armor regen, 10% headshot damage, the mod is 10% headshot damage, and the talent we're using is adrenaline rush. Whenever you are within 10 meters of an enemy, gain 20% bonus armor for 5 seconds, stacks up to 3 times, but remember in PvP that halves, so it's only 10% bonus armor. Our third piece of Gilla is the gloves. Core attribute is a blue, armor regen, and 7.2% headshot damage, but that's 10%. I can't actually max that out yet, guys. So our holster is a Bellstone armory piece, gives us 1% armor regen. Core attribute is a blue. We have armor regen and 10% headshot damage. Our knee pads are the named Murakami Industries Emperor's Guard. The core attribute is blue. We get 20% skill duration, so that's good for a decoy if you want to use that skill. The attributes are 1% armor regen, and the other attribute is armor regen as well. You can get the blueprint from Descent, guys, from reconstructed caches if you don't have the knee pads, and the Dark Zone you can get them from, and named caches, but other than that you can't get it anywhere else. And our final piece of gear is the exotic Ridgeway's Pride chest piece. 15% weapon damage, 5.5% critical hit chance, 11.4% critical hit damage. The mod is 10% headshot damage, but remember you can max these out, guys. And the talent is Bleeding Edge. Shooting enemies within 15 meters applies a bleed to the target. Repair 3 to 48% of your armor per second for every enemy that is bleeding within 15 meters. Repair strength per number of bleeding enemies. 1 enemy 3%, 2 enemies 6%, 3 12%, 4 people 24%, 5 people 48%. But I'm using this, guys, because most people are using like Unbreakable or the Ninja with 2-piece Gilla with Golden. They're using it a different way, but I think if you use the Ridgeways and you put people on bleed with your hive or your gun, shooting them, you actually get more regen. Like you'll see in the gameplay, my regen's really good, so you last a long time. But the main weapon I'm using for all the damage is the Bighorn exotic assault rifle. You can only get this from legendary missions or legendary in the summit. The core attributes are 15% assault rifle damage, 21% health damage, 10% damage to targets out of cover, and the talent, if you don't have this gun yet, is Big Game Hunter. When scoped, switches to semi-automatic rifle mode, dealing 450% weapon damage with each shot. Headshots grant 4% headshot damage, stacks up to 25 times. Once at full stacks, 10 stacks decay every 4 seconds until all stacks have been removed. Headshots delay decaying of stacks. They actually buffed that, guys. It used to be 2% each headshot, so it took longer to stack. But the previous update, it actually doubled it, so it stacks up really quick. So you get 100% headshot damage, which is insane, guys. It's actually really good considering all the blues you have and you don't have any crit damage or crit chance on this build. But those are the mods you get. And the secondary I like to use is the KSG shotgun, or just the shotgun in general. You can use any gun you want, guys. You'll mainly be using the Bighorn all the time. The core attributes are 15% shotgun damage, 12% damage to armor, 10% damage to targets out of cover. And I put Sadist on it, amplifies weapon damage to 20% to bleeding enemies, which amplified weapon damage is ridiculous anyway, period. And those are the mods. Reload speed stacked, so you reload the gun quicker. And our third weapon is the Orbit. You can only get this from the Dark Zone or named caches. But I actually think this is the best gun you can use for PvP as a pistol, unless you're using the Regulus. With this gun you get 15% pistol damage, 10% damage targets out of cover, and the talent for this gun is swapping from this weapon within 10 seconds of killing an enemy grants 35% crit click chance and 40% crit click damage for 15 seconds. Little tip guys is if you use this gun, most people use like tier 1 hives in conflict and they like run away from you most of the time, so just shoot their hive really quick with that gun. It's about 3 bullets, 4 bullets to destroy it, or just destroy their skills period, and you'll get that talent. You'll get 40% crit damage and chance, which is really good. Okay, so our first skill is the Stinger Hive. This will help us with the Ridgeway's Pride chest piece. This will say you're in a group of 4 people, 4 enemies, and you put the hive down, it will put 4 people on bleed and it will give you a ridiculous amount of armor regen. Or it's really good for fighting multiple people at once. But those are the mods I have. 9.9% stim efficiency and 4 stinger charges, so we get 12 charges, which is decent for having tier 0, no skill tiers. And then most of my PvP builds I just run the burn sticky bomb because it makes people catch fire and they can't actually shoot you, so it's easier for you. That's tier 0, but we have 5% skill haste, a 4% burn duration. Like I said, this is just to make people not be able to shoot you, because all they can do is hip fire, which hip fire is basically really shit in this game. But this is the overall build, guys. You see, I'm not using Ninja Bite like most content creators or just players in general, just to get the more armor regen. I'd like to use Adrenaline Rush because you get bonus armor. But I've got 3-piece Giller, as you can see, you get 2% armor regen. Marikami knee pads, you get 1%, so that's 3%. Bellstone, you get 1%, so that's 4% armor regen. And then if you set people on bleed, you get all that, guys, either 3%, 6%, 12%, 24 or 48. Obviously this is like 3% of your armor, it's not 3% armor regen, but it's really good because when you have Adrenaline Rush and people on bleed next to you, your armor will fly up, trust me guys. And you get the damage from the Bighorn and all the headshot mods and attributes I've got. I'll show you the stats now. Like crit chance and critical hit damage are irrelevant with this build. All you're stacking into is headshot damage, so the Bighorn's headshot damage without the stacks is 172%, so 100%, 272%. But the shotgun has 132.2% headshot damage, crit chance is low and crit damage is low. Same with a pistol, but remember what you can do with a pistol: shoot someone's skill, swap back to your gun, and you'll have a load of crit chance and a load of crit damage. But I'll scroll down the rest of the stats for you guys. So the specialization I'm using, guys, is the Firewall. The reason I'm using the Firewall is because of the ridiculous medkit you get. Your armor kit recovers 200% armor and 200% health over 10 seconds. So imagine that with the Ridgeways active and all your armor regen, you're basically invincible. We get 15% assault rifle damage, 15% shotgun damage, and 15% sidearm damage. We also get, if you can utilize this talent, is 30% bonus armor during cover to cover, which helps as well. Say you're on low health and there's people after you, do cover to cover, your armor regen kicks in, and your Ridgeways if you've put your hive down. So that's really good as well. But that's the build that I put together, guys, for conflict, and it's actually one of my best ones for conflict. I use it all the time because most people use builds without survivability and then they don't have medkits or anything, so I prefer to have a load of survivability. But that's the build, guys. Give it a go. Let me know what you think of the build. Thanks for watching, guys, and happy hunting.